Thank you for joining us for today's Mastodon Career Call. Today's webinar is LOL Workplace Communication, and it will be presented by Sheila Cuffey.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Sheila Cuffey, and I will be presenting today on workplace communication, communicating across the genders. Communication across the generations. Today, it seems that we are in a work environment where our younger coworkers do not understand what our older coworkers are saying. And to our older coworkers, their younger colleagues are speaking a complete different language. The message is clear. There are distinct differences in our workplace communication because of the generations. But how do we bridge this generational gap that may exist in our workplace today? First, let's go and address what we are facing. At the end of 2011, the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics identified that the workforce was going to be having 4 distinct generations working together. And this was something that was wonderful in and of itself, that we had 4 generations working together, but at the same time, it was starting to become problematic. Although this brings rich diversity, it also brings vast differences in communication styles and work ethics in a lot of other various ways. So let's look at the generations that we are facing in our workforce. First generation that we will examine today is the traditionalists, also known as the silent generation. They were born before 1945. In the workforce, they bring a lot of hard workers. That's what they're classified as. They are also classified as very loyal employees, which is a good thing. And they also are willing to make vast sacrifices for the company. They are also classified as being very thrifty workers, which is very good because they can find ways to maneuver and make things work in ways that we could never think of. They respect authority, probably because of their large connection with military. They definitely dislike conflict. And they prefer their communication to be one-on-one, face-to-face. They are classified as the formal employees. So if we were giving them a task to send out, say, a correspondence to one of our clients, Mr. Tom Smith, the letter would be something like this, or it would start something like this: Dear Mr. Tom Smith, because they definitely like the formal aspect. Next, we will examine the baby boomers. They're also known as the boomers, and they were born between 1946 and 1964. In the workforce, they definitely bring a lot of wonderful characteristics. They are classified as the most educated of the workers. They would definitely typically not look at it as a job, but they would definitely look at it, this is my career. Because of the economic standings in our country today, many of the baby boomers are not being able to work until the regular retirement age. They need or they desire to work way past retirement age. They are also better situated financially. They have and hold high expectations in the workplace. They definitely respect authority, And if they're your boss, they expect everyone else to also respect authority. They would probably move into a less formal writing style. So if they were given the same task to send out a correspondence to Mr. Tom Smith, it would say something like this: Dear Tom. Next, we will look at Generation X. They are also classified as Gen Xers. The Gen Xers were born between 1965 and 1980. In the workforce, they bring a lot of individualistic type work atmosphere. They are very pragmatic, and they definitely do not have any trust at all in the rules. And they probably have a lot of mistrust in the institution that they're working for. They definitely love the use of technology. And they are also bringing the fact that they have a need for a very friendly environment. They want work to be a place that's fun. And they also want work to be a place that's very flexible. This is a generation where they love a balance between work and home and family. That is what they are loving. They want work to be a place to learn, but yet be flexible. So therefore, they like a less casual style. If they were given the same task of sending Mr. Tom Smith a memo or a letter, since they like the less casual style, it would probably look something like this: Just Tom. Last but not least, we're going to look at Generation Y. Generation Y is also known as the Millennials. The Millennials were born after 1981, and in the workforce, they are classified as very ambitious workers. They also are very used to diversity in the workplace, and that's what they are expecting. They also are they love to have praise and acknowledgement. And they expect that from their bosses. They want their bosses to definitely acknowledge the work that they've done and to also praise them for it. They prefer more of meeting online. They don't necessarily want that face-to-face or that one-on-one type. They are very comfortable with technology. And they don't like working on teams. They prefer to be independent workers. And they definitely want to be heard. And they want to be acknowledged. They like their communication mostly to be by email or text or else on social networks. If they were to given the same task of sending out a memo to Mr. Tom Smith, they would prefer to send out a text. They would definitely want the text to say something like, "Hey, I'm too hot for you," and definitely use the acronym LOL. So they would definitely want to send it out more of a electronic manner. Putting them all together in the workplace can cause some very, very interesting dynamics, to say the least. Now I want to share with you a small humorous clip that approaches and explains the complications that we face sometimes in the workplace. If you will look over on the left-hand side, you will see something that says Web Link 3. If you would click on Web Link 3, and also browse to, you will be taken to the site that shows this humorous clip. Enjoy. Now that we have examined the differences, you're probably wondering, how do we begin to bridge the gap? Well, now let's examine some tips that we can have. Here are a few tips. The author, Greg Hamill, who is the author of Mixing and Managing 4 Generations of Employees, he makes a great suggestion. He says that we should definitely, being aware of the generational differences within our places of employment, but being aware of them can help us tailor our message to our workplace peers and our co-workers to obtain the maximum results. In other words, by embracing the differences that we have, definitely they're obvious to lots of us, the known differences, we will actually begin to pay attention to what will please the other person. This will help to increase our productivity and our quality in our workplace. In the process, we also begin to recognize and understand the general characteristics of our coworkers and use them to effectively deal with each other. So being aware of our differences is not something that's necessarily viewed as something that's bad. It can be definitely very helpful in our workplace. Knowing that that Generation Xer is definitely very good at technology, and the Generation Boomer may not be as well versed, but definitely is wanting to know it, then why don't we mix those two together and embrace the differences and help from each other, or definitely draw from each other? Business Etiquette International also gives us some other great tips. They suggest that we should definitely aim to see the person as an individual, which is something that we had discussed earlier. And we should also aim to, regardless of what differences we have, Be respectful of the other person. We shouldn't be shy about trying something new. We should be excited about it and learn from each other. How can we learn from you? Maybe perhaps the younger generation can learn some of those needed tips as far as being more formal. Maybe the older generation can embrace the fact that there is new technology that maybe some of our clients really want. We should definitely help each other, and we should also presume that you and your coworkers are more alike than we are different. In doing that, we should also get to know each other, get to know what each other likes, get to know each other's differences, and learn from them, and also respect them. Lastly, here are some tips from Employee Development System. If you will look on the left, you will see Web Link 2. If you will click on that one and then click on Browse To, you will see some more wonderful tips that were suggested by this particular company. In your workplace, I'm sure that you understand that we are working with generations that are divided by age groups. As you can see, that there's a lot of very, very differences as far as we have to work with. However, if we look at it like it's more of a task more so than a blessing, then it will be viewed that way. But together, if we work together, we can be a powerful workforce. We can bridge all the pieces and they will work together successfully. We just have to learn to embrace each other's differences to make them work for our good. Thank you, and I hope that you have learned something today that will help you in your workplace not cringe when you hear LOL, but to embrace the differences. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I hope that we can work together for success.